Good morning. This is Assemblymember Petrie-Norris. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Facebook Live Town Hall. Today, we will be focused on small businesses. Small businesses are the heart and soul of California's economy. They are the heart and soul of our communities. And so many of our local small businesses have really been devastated as we've navigated the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been heart-wrenching to see. One of my top priorities is to ensure that we are stabilizing our small businesses, that we are positioning them to survive, and then positioning them to thrive as we emerge from this crisis. Today, I'm really thrilled to be joined by some of our best loved small business owners, and also by a couple of our local council members who are business people and business owners in their own right as well. We'll be hearing from all of them about the challenges that they've had to navigate in the midst of this pandemic, about the creative and innovative ways that they've responded, and about what is next and how we can all support them as we move through this. So I'm really, really pleased that you are all able to join us today. To kick us off, please, let's do a round of introductions. Tell the folks at home a little bit about you, a little bit about your business. Carmelite, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm actually the store manager of Troy Lee Designs. We have our flagship retail store in Laguna, and we are a premium brand in the mountain bike and moto world. And I've been managing the shop there for them for going on 8 years now.
Wonderful, thank you. And Duke from Surfside Sports, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, Surfside Sports is a family-owned and operated business. We've been in business for over 30 years. My business partner, Paul Burnett, and I started it way back when. My sons work here. My wife works here. My dog, which you'll probably hear, also works here. And we serve the action sports community for Newport Beach and Costa Mesa.
Thank you. And Marion Keegan.
Hi, I'm Marion Keegan. I own the Art of Fitness in Laguna Beach. It's a gym. We opened, wow, it's been 20 years now. So we've been here quite a while. And our goal is just to keep Laguna Beach healthy and strong immune systems and fit and, full of life. And so that's just really our goal. My background, I have a master's in exercise physiology. My business partner has a bachelor's in kinesiology. And, we're just here to do everything we can for our community.
Thanks, Marion. And Paula from the Laguna Beach Chamber.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Paula Hornbuckle Arnold, Laguna Beach Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Sue. CEO. I've been with the Chamber just about 2 years. My background previous to the Chamber was 10 years in fundraising for Boys and Girls Club of Laguna Beach in a volunteer position, first female board chair, as well as chair of all Orange County Boys and Girls Clubs. Really, really happy to be navigating this chamber during these very difficult times. It's been a challenge and fun on some level, stretched me both mentally and emotionally. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Paula. And Mario, thank you so much for joining us. We're just getting started. We were just doing a quick round of introductions.
Well, sorry that I came late. I hit every red light coming home early. My name is Mario Morovic. I'm a restaurant and property owner in Orange County. I own 11 concepts with pre-COVID. We had 600 employees working at one time. During COVID, we have about 150. We own businesses, 3 in Costa Mesa, 5 in Newport Beach. We own businesses in Orange as well as downtown Fullerton. So this entire pandemic has been very interesting with my industry, specifically with the original closing, the reopening, and then the closing again. So I've got a lot of input.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you. So thanks so much. And we've got our Costa Mesa Mayor Pro-Tem, John Stevens, who, as I said, you're not just the Mayor Pro-Tem, you're also a business owner yourself.
Yeah, no, I am. I own a law firm in Costa Mesa, over on Anton in the South Coast area, and I am the Mayor Pro-Tem of the city of Costa Mesa. I'm really happy to be on here with everybody, and in particular, my two friends, Duke and Mario, who are small business owners just like me in Costa Mesa in the retail and the restaurant space, and really pleased to be able to talk about the ways we've worked with our small businesses to keep them alive and survive and serve our community.
Thanks, John. And Councilmember Sue Kemp, thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Councilmember Sue Kemp, and I've been working a lot with Paula. Actually, Paula and I work very closely together during this time on behalf of businesses, and we've had a pretty effective working group that we've been collaborating on, along with Arts Commission and the Visit Laguna group and a lot of the business owners. So I don't know if you want us to talk about that more later, Cotty, or.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit later. I think, one of the things that's been so inspiring to me has been the creative and innovative ways that so many of our small business owners have met this moment. And I know that that our two council members on the phone have been incredible advocates and partners in developing creative strategies to help our small businesses navigate this. But before we jump into that, I think that we've all sort of read stories or heard stats that as many as 40% of our small businesses are at risk of closing. We've had record levels of unemployment, and I think sometimes that the human story sometimes gets lost in those stats. So I would love, just to kick us off, it would be great if our small business owners could just give us a bit of your COVID-19 story and some of the challenges that you confronted when the pandemic hit California and we had to move into our stay-at-home order. Duke, let's start with you.
Sure. Long story. I hope we got time. We went into February, and several of us got sick. Not sure if it was COVID or not, but we had some kind of pandemic running through our store at the time. We thought it was just the flu. And then come around March, we had to close down during the biggest record snowfall of any March, and it just destroyed our snow business. And then we got sick again. And then April came around, we were still closed. And, by being closed in April, we missed all of the spring break Easter business. So we had to close for 2 very important months, and we lost a lot of business, a lot of sales. And, at the time it was very, very stressful, thinking that, like, how is this thing going to play out when we finally do open? Are our customers going to come back, or are they going to act like they did prior to the close down, which our business was slim to none. Our customers were hunkered down, hanging out at grocery stores trying to buy food instead of coming in here and purchasing the goods they'd normally purchase. So right around the end of the first week in May, we were able to open for curbside pickup, and curbside wasn't really working. So I said, the hell with this. It's either going to be I start letting some people in the store, or we're going to go out of business, quite frankly. We have a strong business. We weren't a business. We are not a business just hanging on by a thread. We've been around for well over 30 years, probably more like 35. We're well known in the community, hopefully respected. And so we opened up. And later that evening, a very nice police officer came and asked us to kindly close down. So we closed down. And then I got to say, I was completely blown away when I asked on social media for a meeting with the mayor, and the mayor Pro-Tem, and a very nice assemblywoman named Cotty came in and had a really nice meeting with us. And we discussed the ins and outs of our business, what was at jeopardy as far as our family, our employees, our future. And shortly thereafter, we were able to open up full bore, and our business went crazy. We did business hand over fist. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that customers would come back in droves like they did. and we would have to enact the 25 customer per limit order that our square footage would accommodate. And we had lines out the door, people just waiting to come in. And our sales went through the roof. We had a record May with one less week in it. We had a record July by 40% over our previous record July in the history of this store. Not July, I'm sorry, June. July came around and it leveled off some in July, but it was still a very, very good month. And I think the thing that we're most concerned about now is August is always our biggest month of the summer, our second busiest month of the year, driven primarily by back to school business. And now there is no back to school. So we're going to work it on a theory of a second July and work it that way. We usually have a ton of backpacks in stock, huge backpack wall, a lot of back to school clothing. And now we're just continuing on with summer business and we'll see where it lands.
And so Carmelite, you're also in the retail space. How is your experience and the Troy Lee experience lined up with what we heard from Duke, or how is it different? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, I didn't do that. Okay. I think our experience was a tiny bit different. We actually took the steps to close down days prior to the mandate. Just feeling at the time that that was probably the right thing to do. We weren't sure if I personally had been exposed, and so I wasn't comfortable going into the store and exposing other people. So we did that. The company in general felt that the relationships that we built with the community was super important. And so I didn't get furloughed, which kind of shocked me initially because I thought I would get furloughed once the store closed down. But we utilized, we've always felt that it was important with the ever evolving retail and customers looking more for an experience and a community-based experience that has always been in the forefront of running the shop. And so kind of what Duke spoke to, when things closed down, many of our customers actually reached out to us as we hold lots of events throughout the year. And Troy lives here also in Laguna, and he's very active in supporting a lot of the schools and different programs. And they wanted to know what they could do to help. And so I actually became sort of a sales rep for the store and was doing calling on my customers, calling on friends that I know that ride. We were fortunate in that moto and mountain bike was once trails opened up, was actually one of the industries and activities that people could do and still self-distance. And so, and helmets and protective gear, knee pads, elbows, we fell a little bit into that essential. And so I was scheduling a lot of pickups and deliveries throughout the community. And then like Duke, once things opened up, we just experienced just a wave of unexpected business. And it was nice. And so the challenge was to bring back the staff because we weren't expecting it to just go gangbusters once we opened. So we had a little bit of a challenge bringing back our staff. And then by June, pretty much had the staff fully on, I want to say mid-June. And then it was just following all the safety guidelines. So that adds an extra element to the shop, and it can be very overwhelming. You know, did I clean that? Did I touch that? But we are doing complete temperature checks before customers come in. We're ensuring that they have their masks on and having them hand sanitize. And so it's hard to explain, but it's definitely from the shutdown to now, it's just, there's also an emotional toll of feeling like you're working 10 times, if not 100 times harder to just navigate through everything and the ever evolving, rules and regulations.
Yeah, it does. I think for so many of us, there's kind of this kind of overhanging just anxiety about what's next, what's around the next bend. And I know that's true for you and for so many other folks in our community. So Mario, tell us a bit about your story, your journey over the last couple of months.
Well, on March 17th, we get the notice to shut down, and that was on St. Patrick's Day, and we own an Irish pub in Newport Beach called Malarkey's. And we kind of felt the sentiment in the air. Out of our 11 locations, by that point, we had already decided to not open half of them because we kind of expected it. So when we got the initial notice from the Orange County Health Agency, it was supposed to be a 2-week closure, and 2 weeks seemed like an eternity. We thought, okay, if we can just get through April 1st, we'll get reopened and everything's going to get figured out. We did not furlough any of our managers at all. We kept everybody on full pay, expecting a 2, maybe a 3-week closure maximum. And then by April 1st, when it became indefinite, then we had to make the difficult decisions on, who do we keep and not keep. And, we're not really a takeout model. When you think about takeout models, it's usually low quality food and high volume with very small square footage, and that's kind of what makes takeout profitable, because you're not going to have a 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 square foot restaurant that focuses on takeout because the fixed cost and the infrastructure cost is too expensive. So with my dine-in model that's relatively in the larger square footage space, pivoting to takeout, there's still a huge holding cost for the fact that we have, this is a lot of square footage and taxes and whether it's rent or mortgage. So we did the initial pivot to takeout, but we only kept 2 out of 11 stores open. So we kept 9 closed. We kept our overhead going. We kept on most of our salaried, high-paid managers because they had the most to lose. Most people, they acclimate their lifestyle to what they make. So if you have a manager who's got a family and he's married and he's got a mortgage, we were trying to keep those guys working. So we were keeping high-paid managers working, but put them out on a minimum wage jobs. So if you went to Playa Mesa, we'd have like the general manager from 3 different stores working there, making drinks behind the bar and, cooking in the kitchen and, managing telephones. Well, the takeout model got sustainable when the ABC allowed the takeout cocktail program. The ability to sell those cocktails made selling food, we were able to make up for that margin, right? Because you got that big fixed cost on operating restaurants. And if you do a takeout enchilada combo for $16 and Uber Eats takes 30% of it, you're not left with a lot of money. But if you can sell a $30 jug of margaritas, then that kind of helps you, hedge your, profitability. At this point, it was really interesting because there is the unknown of the PPP loans. My company, we were the first to act on trying to get our loans approved. And we got really strung along by Chase Bank. And Chase and some of the larger lenders did an extremely poor job at fulfilling the PPP loans. So we were in discussion with all of our bankers weeks in advance, trying to have our foot in the door. So when the website launched, we were filling out the applications immediately. And we probably filled out the application. We had office staff working 24 hours a day, submitting applications, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and everything in between. And for days and weeks at a time, every time we submitted the application, they'd say, sorry, website's bogged down, we can't help you. Call this number. You call the number, sorry, we're not taking calls or voicemails. So then we went from having a banking relationship with a large bank like Chase and then moving to a private SBA loan broker. Long story short is we ended up getting our loans approved one at a time. We had 11 loans approved, and now we were faced with another challenge. The challenge was you have 8 weeks to spend all this money and you're not open yet, and you don't know when you're going to be able to open. And you've got 2 of your 11 locations doing takeout, 9 are closed. So then we decided to open up all locations for takeout, even though they're not profitable. And there's a huge curve when you are completely closed for 6 or 7 weeks consecutively. And now you have to fire up all of your equipment. You got to restock all your coolers, your shelves. You got to hire staff back. Are all your staff available? Some staff didn't want to come back because the unemployment benefits were too lucrative. And they decided, well, I'm really happy not working and making $1,100 a week versus working and making $900 a week. So we finally, scraped together a adequate staff, and we got everything open. And what was unfortunate is we were on this accelerated spending model based on the fact that we were sitting on PPP loans that were already starting to age. So we were bringing more staff back than we needed to, because the 8-week window to spend it, we were already 3 or 4 weeks into that 8-week window. And whatever you didn't spend, you had to reimburse. Well, when I got down to my 7th or 8th week, then Congress updated the PPP guidelines and changed it from 8 weeks to 24 weeks. And it was right around the time they were about to reopen dine-in. So then I was stuck in this, horrible space where I was responsible enough to apply for my loans early and get everything open, but then I was forced to accelerated spend. So anyway, the PPP loans did not help us much. They helped, but not much based on the total disorganization in the government and how they launched it. It didn't make sense. Why should you be forced to spend money when you aren't able to build a sustainable business model that justifies actually spending the money? So then when we were open for dine-in, we got the call. It was a Memorial Day weekend. I remember it was Saturday, Memorial Day. And my wife and I had the family ready to go. The kids were in the car, the dog. I had a suitcase in my hand, and I get a call. They just announced that Orange County is able to open. And I looked at my wife and my kids in the car, and I'm like, sorry, vacation's canceled. So everyone got out of the car, and I literally went straight to work. And we're like, all right, let's call the staff, let's start stocking the restaurants up and get ready for our modified dine-in model. Well, the dine-in model, we all know how that ended. We had the spike in numbers. We had to close again. Opening a restaurant is extremely time consuming. It's very expensive, and then closing abruptly now. So we were told we can open on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. We were told we needed to close right before the 4th of July. So we were told on a Wednesday with minimal notice when our shelves were already getting stocked for a busy 4th of July holiday. So now we're dealing with excess inventory already in the building. Luckily, Costa Mesa and Newport launched the emergency patio program. And I'm going to tell you that the patio program has not just been something that's allowing us to be sustainable. It was a lifesaver, because I don't know what we would do if we weren't able to have the outdoor dining. Honestly, I don't know how many business owners in Costa Mesa would probably they'd have to close their doors completely and permanently going forward. Remember, rents are deferred. Rents they're not forgiven. There's going to be a huge debacle when this whole thing ends, and landlords are saying that you're 6 months behind in rent, and who knows how much more debt that you're going to have. Now, my business model specifically with my 11 restaurants, we have 11 unique concepts. The one thing that we do is we find locations that we're really confident in, and we procure those locations, and we reverse engineer what we think the concept should be that's going to fit the location and the community. So we're really lucky to have been successful in what we do, and we've had zero business debt company-wide. We owed zero money pre-COVID. Well, we kind of did everything responsibly. We expanded with internal operating cash flow. We live a very conservative lifestyle, but now the lifesaver for everyone is take on debt. Here, I'll loan you more money, take on more debt. And every opportunity that I hear about to keep my business afloat is go against the business model that made you successful from inception, which is low debt and low overhead. And now the lifesaver is all these government loans that at some point we need to pay back. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a successful business needs to take on debt to just not make money. Because right now we're not making money. My sales are down 70%. We're at 30% sales company-wide. We still have stores that are not open and are completely closed. We got to pay the overhead on it. And now we're looking at taking on debt just to like stay closed. So there are going to be a lot of restaurant operators that are not going to get through this. We will, but a lot of them won't. A little insight on the restaurant industry is I think about 30 to 40% of restaurant owners get by. So they've got their business, they get by, they pay their bills, they have their families and their children and their rent or their mortgage, and they're able to sustain their lifestyle by working full-time owning a restaurant. And they do it because it's a passion. You know, they love what they do. I mean, a lot of these people come to me for advice and I say, you make more money selling your restaurant and getting a job with less headache and stress, but they love the idea of being an entrepreneur. All these people that got by are getting wiped out. So what's going to happen to them going forward? I don't know if taking on debt is really a viable or a sustainable option. So that's where we're at today. We're just trying to, we're trying to get through this, and we don't know what's going to happen in the fall and the winter when these temporary patios, they get too cold or they get rained out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mario. And Marion from Art of Fitness. What has your experience been as a fitness studio owner?
First of all, I just want to say something to the restaurant owner because before I started the gym, I had an upholstery business and we serviced over 800 restaurants. And everything he's saying is totally true because we did the big restaurants like Denny's and Coco's and Carol's, and they were pretty funded. But these small mom and pop places, they operate on a shoestring budget. They're doing it because it's their passion. They love what they do. And also what he had to say about debt. If you're a strong business owner, the whole concept is to be profitable and not. So it's really, I'm in the same position. It's really tough to all of a sudden have to take on debt when for 20 years you didn't have debt. It's just not a place that you're comfortable with. You design your business model around not doing that. So I think that's been probably the toughest thing for probably a lot of business owners that, everyone understands as a business model that at some point, if you borrow money, you got to pay it back.
Right.
So, that I'm in 100% agreement with. As far as our business, we closed a day before it was mandated. We immediately went online with our classes, and that was interesting because I'm not, my business partner is very comfortable in front of a TV and in front of media. I'm less comfortable. So for me, it was more of how am I going to get my clients engaged, dealing in this kind of environment, a Zoom kind of environment. So I ended up just having fun with it, had them tying rice bags to their ankles and using that as their weights. And I had them go and because you couldn't get weights, it's interesting what happens with supply and demand. All of a sudden, when all the gyms closed, you can go online and buy any weights. You couldn't buy anything. So we had to get really creative. So they were lifting soup cans, they were lifting their detergent, they were lifting water bottles, whatever it took for us to keep our clients engaged. And then we used that time to remodel our to remodel our fitness center and to make it more COVID-19 compliant. We ripped up all of our floor itself. We kept our manager on staff. We kept all of our people on staff. We let those instructors who were comfortable coming in, and I have to say about 30% of them weren't even comfortable coming in the space just by themselves. But the ones that were, we let them come in. We kept them on pay, and we let them teach classes via Facebook, actually. So it was free to not only our clients, but anybody who wanted to jump on. That was the first thing we did. We cleaned everything. We redid all the floors. We rubberized the floors. We ordered every sanitation thing we could get our hands on. We ordered filters. We ordered gloves. We had temperatures taken. When you walk in the door, the first thing that happens, you got your temperature taken. We had things all over the floor saying 6-foot distancing. We were really, really diligent because we really love our community and wanted to keep everyone safe. We also had a time that was seniors only, so the seniors could feel comfortable coming in because I think they're feeling the most compromised in all of this. The dynamics of our gym has changed a lot because initially we were closed for 3 months, and that was really hard on us because our rent is huge because Laguna Beach is a, affluent city and rents are expensive. So, we were really worried because we had never been in a position where, we couldn't pay rent. So that was scary for us. So we tried to think out of the box as much as we could. We tried to stay positive. Laguna Beach is an incredible community. We've gotten a lot just from a lot of them stayed on, and didn't. And when people walked in, they felt very safe because we did the whole temperature check, distancing, mask, everything. And then within a couple of weeks, we were asked to close again, and that was pretty devastating. But we kind of saw the writing on the wall, so we were already set up. I was watching restaurants, and they were doing the outside parking lot thing. So I had already had on back order ready to ship artificial turf. And as soon as we closed, we got very little notice, which was, and we immediately put the artificial turf out in the parking lot. We had a 2,000 square foot parking lot. We went immediately to the city and asked for a limited use permit, which they granted us immediately. And I was very thankful for that. And we moved all of our classes outside, and that, which I feel bad for anyone in the fitness business right now, because we're really being taken, down in a sense of not being able to be open. And I don't 100% understand that, because I feel like if McDonald's can be open, something like a fitness place that really helps you, with your immune system, it builds your immune system, is I think that should be something that we should have. But in the meantime, we're hanging in there. We love our community. Our community has been great. We've had clients who've given us shade for our outside parking lot, just donated it. The coffee shop did a fundraiser for us. We did a fundraiser in turn for the wine gallery. And if I want to say what good has come from this for me, is we've really kind of embraced each other as a community. We've showed each other a lot of support. We understand that we're all really struggling, and we're very sympathetic to that. And I think it's why I love Laguna Beach so much, because it's a really strong community. I know Paula can attest to that too. And our chamber's been great, and everyone's been really, really supportive. So for that, I'm very thankful.
So I want to pick up a couple things, Marion, that you brought up. I mean, number one is just, kind of creative responses, creative solutions to this moment of crisis. And number two, the way in which our community, and I think communities, I think all the cities that are represented here have really rallied together in some pretty amazing ways. So what I'd love to do is hear from Sue and from Paula about some of the things that the City Council has been working on with the Chamber and other partners, creative solutions and ways in which you've helped our businesses respond.
Paula, you want to go first?
No, you.
Okay. Well, we formed this working group. This was back in early May, and we had assistant city manager and staff. We had Paula from the chamber. We had our cultural arts manager, and then we had representatives from the arts, from the festival, the Sawdust, the Playhouse. We had Ashley from Visit Laguna, because of course we're very highly dependent upon tourism in Laguna Beach. And we had and then I was on there as a council person. So we put this working plan together. And one of the things that we did very early is we decided to close Lower Forest Avenue for outdoor dining. We had 4 restaurants there. All those restaurants were very small. And even if they could open at 50% at that time, they weren't going to survive because they didn't have the square footage. And if you lose, 4 of those restaurants there and a couple other retailers, and you have a really bad situation on your marquee street. We also put together a plan for temporary use permits for outdoor dining. We got that going right away. I was on these Laguna Beach Restaurant Association calls with it was just a group of guys that got together, and we were talking, during the pandemic about what they wanted to do. So we decided to, give them a temporary use permit and allow them to go into, parking lots, some places in the street, wherever they could do it, bank parking lots. And so we did a lot of collaboration there. Paula will talk about what the work she did, but Paula has been fantastic. She, the chambers, people stopped paying their dues. She didn't have any money to pay her assistant. She couldn't get the PPP money because she's a 501(c)(3) So the city pitched in a little bit of money, but mainly she's been doing all of this herself. I'm so proud of the work that she did. It's been absolutely amazing. And then we've got some grant money to help restaurants get parklets. We waived some of the signage requirements for businesses. We also allow them to put merchandise out on the street if they would like. They just got to get a permit for that. So that has been working, overall pretty well. If you go around our city, you'll see a lot of outdoor dining everywhere. You'll see a lot more people kind of in the streets. The only biggest problem we're having is lack of mask compliance, and people are not making the connection that if you wear a mask, we can keep the economy more open. But if you don't, you're part of the problem. And so we've got these mask ambassadors now they used to be our trolley drivers. We're not running the trolleys now because of COVID, but they're passing out masks all over town on the weekends, free masks, wherever we see them. We have masked people on the promenade. And so we're working very hard to do that, because we really feel like if we can get people wearing masks, we can help our economy, recover from all this. I think a lot of our businesses had similar experiences, Paula can tell you, as the rest of the participants on the Zoom here. But we've had, I think, excellent collaboration by our city council working, aggressively to support the businesses. Tonight we have a council meeting, and we're going to be extending the TUPs for outdoor dining until April. We're going to be extending the promenade hopefully until through the end of the year. And we're trying to do every single thing we can think of to help businesses. We'd really like to get, our festivals open. That's not possible. We have about 2,500 visitors a day when we have our festivals in the summer. So that's been, very difficult. But, I would say overall, the residents here have been pretty supportive of businesses. And, anything that comes up, we're working, we're trying to be responsive and as possible to the residents and the businesses in town.
And Paula.
So to piggyback onto what Sue said, it has been an actual really incredible partnership with Sue, as well as the assistant city manager. We spent weeks and weeks walking the town, polling our businesses, getting buy-in for the closure of Lower Forest. And it's working. The statistics show that it is working. And one of the things that we decided to do as a chamber, in addition to all the government, navigating the links to get loans and and grants, et cetera, we decided that our best opportunity to market Laguna is to do a marketing campaign, and we did Think Laguna First. So I'm going to share my screen, and some of you have probably already seen the Think Laguna First, but can you see that?
Yes, we can. Okay,
so that's our Think Laguna First program. We kicked this off in June, and it was a 90-day program, and we've done this was our very first postcard that we did, and we did four separate direct mail pieces, as well as newspaper ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, posters plastered all over the town, and they all say Think Laguna First. We didn't do a direct ask, like, bring this card in and you get 10% off, because we just wanted it to be a whole city marketing campaign. And we spent $58,000 on this campaign in a time where we're bringing no money in. That's how important we felt it was to get the word out there to shop local. So in addition to everything else, we did that, which I'm incredibly proud of. So,
and I know that's great. It's been, so I'm a Laguna resident, so I've seen it, and I'm definitely, yes, doing everything I can to shop local, eat local. Now Costa Mesa, you've done something similar, John Stevens. You and Mayor Foley have established Restore Costa Mesa. Tell us a little bit about that, and how's that going?
Yeah, so Restore Costa Mesa is a program that primarily Mayor Foley kind of got going. And what we do is we bring different sectors of the economy together. For example, the restaurant sector, Mario's involved, and we have people there from retail, people there from performing arts. So we have, of course, the Performing Arts Center and South Coast Repertory in Costa Mesa. And and offices. I was helped on the office group because I got an office in Costa Mesa, and we brought everybody together to kind of we have meetings weekly or every couple weeks to talk about different solutions, different ways that we can learn from each other, and what can the city do for the businesses. So out of that came, we published a series of guidelines for the office buildings, which is, to keep them compliant. We have signs that have been made by our what's called our business assistance collaborative through the city. Out of that came very early the idea of moving outside, first with restaurants. Now we have a temporary use permit, like Sue was talking about, with retail and services. And like, for example, one of the things that people I think sometimes forget about council members or mayors is, at bottom, we're just residents and we're consumers. And I go to Mario's restaurant all the time. I bought a nice dress for my wife, Mother's Day dress, when we were there at Surfside. And Mary and I spend the first part of every one of my days now. I get out at 5 a.m. and I do burpees in the parking lot. So we're trying to get our businesses outside, and that's all part of the feedback that we got from the businesses through the Restore Costa Mesa. And we've been really working hard for our businesses and our residents. We're kind of all in this together. The other thing is, the idea is just to have our businesses survive. So we were one of the first cities to enact a eviction moratorium, not just for residents, but also commercial eviction moratorium, which allows them to pay back their deferred rent over 120 days. And we have our businesses like, Surfside and Mario's restaurants that are so resilient. Mario has a lot of tables out in his parking lot and in his patio, and he's doing a great job at Playa Mesa and his other places. He's rebuilding Wild Goose. And then recently, of course, the South Coast Plaza just opened the pavilion, where they took a parking structure and turned it into a beautiful place with boutique stores in it. And that was, Mayor Foley worked on that. Our city managers and our city staff worked on that. And it's just like something you've never seen before. So the collaboration between the businesses and the city, and working together through Restore Costa Mesa and otherwise, has been really strong in Costa Mesa. And we just need to keep it. We need to keep it going. We need to keep that dialogue going. And as we evolve through this, there will be other challenges, and we need to work together to address them.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on that collaboration is absolutely critical. I think that the simple truth is that we've never in the history of our world experienced an economic downturn like this, right? This is a pandemic-induced recession, and there is no playbook for it. And I think that the only way that we are going to navigate this effectively is ensuring that we have effective partnerships between the business community and and government at all levels. I want to just come back quickly to something, a point that Sue made, and just see kind of, get a pulse check from our business owners, and that's related to masking and some of the other steps that some of you have implemented in order to ensure that you keep your staff, you keep your customers safe. So you said you felt like people were not making the connection between, gosh, if we wear a mask, we can get the spread of this disease under control. We can actually reopen our economy more quickly. For the business owners on the screen, so what is your sense? Are people making that connection now? Are they receptive?
I would say yes.
Okay.
The customers coming into all of our businesses are very mask aware. It did take a while for people to really start to buy in, because this whole thing is new, and as the rules changed, the goal line kept on moving with the rules, And masks were not a big topic of conversation for the first, couple of months of the, stay-at-home notice. Then they became a topic of conversation. Then it became political, and then it went from being political to becoming a reality. So I think it's a natural progression of being required to do something. It might be a little bit of human nature, where people really had to believe in it. And I think now, I believe that collectively a majority of the U.S. population believes in wearing a mask, a majority. And I did see the progression, though. I did see the anti-mask group and the mask group, because being a business owner, you'd have customers walk in without a mask and tell you, like, I don't want to wear a mask. Well, now that's not really happening anymore. Like now, politically too, there's a big debate, like, why am I required to do this? Well, now everyone knows why you're required to do it. So the mask issue, in my opinion, as a business owner, from what I've seen in 4 different cities throughout Orange County, nobody's really debating it anymore.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear. And I know, Duke, I wish PJ was on the phone so you all could do the mask wrap. Tell people about, how you got your folks to wear masks in the early days. Oh, you're on mute, Duke. Oh, wait, Duke, you're still on mute. Jess, can you unmute him? Hold on a second.
Okay, now you hear me?
All right. Yes.
Okay. The mask thing, and I agree with everything Mario said. In the beginning, it was a hellacious experience. I was degraded as a human being, accused of violating people's constitutional rights, threatened with lawsuits, accused of potentially harming an unborn baby in a womb. It was getting old. It was getting very taxing. And this whole time I just said, I'm just a small business owner struggling to survive. Please respect the mask rule. And some people would turn away and say, then I refuse to shop here. And then do you remember when, I'm sure you do remember when the county health official resigned because of death threats. And all of a sudden, masks are not supposed to be required in Orange County anymore, with the exception of the city of Costa Mesa and Irvine. And then it got worse. And then Governor Newsom required the whole state to wear masks once again, and it got way easier. Today, it is not a problem. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody coming in and preaching political things to me, and I just agree with everything they say, whether I really do or not. Smile, and we give them a little, please put on your mask, little jingle you heard the other day, and it usually gets people laughing, and they comply. They always comply. If they don't comply, we ask them to leave. And it's not a nice thing to do. As a retailer, you embrace your customers, and I still try to embrace them, and I apologize. But at the end of the day, we have not had one incident, and I'm knocking on wood right now, of COVID-19 within our store, of our staff or any of the customers that I know of. And it's because we're doing this. We are doing the mask thing. We're doing the sterilization techniques we use. We're doing temperature checks of all the employees. We really want to get this through. No matter what it takes, we need to comply in order to survive as human beings and a business. And I don't think it's that much to ask.
Agreed. Well said. And I think the reality is that we have very few weapons in our arsenal to fight this disease, precious few. And so we've got to use every single one that we've got. Mayor Stevens. Mayor Pro-Tem Stevens.
Mayor Pro-Tem. Well, hey, the mayor's busy, so I'm in charge now. I'm the mayor of this call. So now I wanted to speak a little bit about masks, because it's interesting how it evolved in Costa Mesa. And really what we're trying to do is change a cultural norm to get people to wear masks. And that's not easy. Now in Costa Mesa, the first group that came to us and said, please do something about masks, was the UFCW, who represent essential workers, who are in our grocery stores and in our drugstores and so forth, and they were concerned about their own health. And in response to that, on April 21st, we passed our mask mandate. And I do believe that we were one of the only two cities in Orange County at the time, Irvine and Costa Mesa, that had the mask mandate. And then the situation evolved, and there was, as Duke mentioned and as Mario mentioned, there was some pushback, and some of that was political. But over time, it's kind of like akin to what we saw when, over a period of time of banning smoking indoors and smoking in different places, it was a health issue, but it changed people's behavior. When I was growing up, people used to smoke in restaurants, and then there was a non-smoking section of restaurants. People used to smoke in airplanes, and then there was a non-smoking section in airplanes, as ridiculous as that seems. But now we've kind of evolved to a point where we understand that you can't smoke in Duke's store or Mario's restaurant. But we had to take that social norm as it relates to masks and accelerate that. And I think as a community and working together with our businesses and that we've done that, I think, fairly well. The next stage, though, is, then we had to address it with some more enforcement, and now signs out there about that. And so we've been a little bit more active about that to try to have people use masks in Costa Mesa. And I'm told, I don't get around that much, but I'm told that in Costa Mesa, there's more compliance than in some of our neighboring cities. But really, we're all in this together. It's not a question of Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach. Mm-hmm. We're all in the same region, and we have to work together. We have to put in place these mask mandates and enforce them as best we can, and change the social norm so we keep our community healthy and keep our economy vibrant.
Absolutely. And, I want to make sure that we save time to talk about kind of the path forward as we reopen California. And I would love to make sure I get your perspective on an economic recovery working group I'm part of. But before we jump into that, I do want to highlight just a couple of things for other small business owners who might be watching this from home, in terms of resources that are available at the state and county level to assist our small businesses in this moment. And a couple of them are loan programs. And I know, Mario and Marion, you mentioned the fact that those have limits, and that it's not responsible for small businesses to take on too much debt. But for businesses that did not qualify for PPP, for businesses that may not qualify for loan programs under standard criteria, the state does offer a couple of loan guarantee programs to assist pretty small businesses that may not have as long of a track record. And those are offered through California's iBank and through a program called CalCap, which is the California Capital Access Program. And that's administered by the state treasurer's office. And so for folks that are looking for more information about either of those programs, or about how to navigate any of this, there are just a couple of resources I always like to flag. And number one is GoBiz. So California's GoBiz, we have local offices that are available for one-on-one consultation and counseling for local businesses to help connect folks with loan programs, with potential grant programs, and with other resources. And in Orange County, that's through the Orange County Small Business Development Center. And then the other resource and source that I always like to flag is the Orange County Business Council, who are taking, I think, a real leadership role for our region in terms of just consolidating resources and providing a one-stop shop for business owners, large and small. Are there any other resources or sources of help that any of our business owners or probably you from the chamber would highlight for folks?
I have an idea. I mean, I have something that we're doing that really works.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think that is a blessing in all this, because you always want to look for the blessings and what are the good things that are happening. If you do have a parking lot, like we have a parking lot, there are other businesses, because everyone knows in Laguna that parking's at a premium. It's hard to get parking. So the fact that we have a 2,000 square foot parking lot, someone like Jacob Cho, who teaches the kids, all kinds of self-esteem and many, many things that he he does. We offered for free our parking lot to him. And, you know, we're willing to reach out to like the wine gallery or anybody in our community who needs space, so that when we're not using the space, why not give it to our neighbors? Why not help our neighbors? I think that coming together as business owners and working together, I think is something that we can do that could really, really help us out, not only through the pandemic, but also into the future. I think that thinking as a collective, as small business owners, you know, really in effect gives us big business opportunity, because we're no longer a voice of one, we're a voice of hundreds, and we're all working together. So I think that doing something like that, and I know Chamber does that, but also just if you're fortunate enough to have that space, offering up that space, I think, you know, for free is karmically a great thing to do. It's my opinion.
I love that. Yes. Well, and I think that, you know, the more that we can, again, help each other survive this downturn, I think the hope is once we do have a vaccine, then we'll be able to bounce back, you know, more quickly than some other recessions and recoveries. But our ability to do that really is contingent upon maintaining a certain level of survival as we go through this. So, okay, so as I mentioned, I am part of a working group in the legislature on economic recovery, and one of our, you know, top priorities, as we've articulated, is supporting small businesses in this moment. You know, there are all kinds of proposals that are being considered, all sorts of things that we are discussing, including tax relief, rental relief, you know, expansion of loan guarantee programs. So we talked about some of the hurdles there, streamlining the work share program to make it easier for people to kind of, you know, move in and out of opening and closing, and you know, incentivizing some of our local retail, you know, businesses and manufacturers to bring the manufacture of PPE, ventilators, other equipment into the state of California. So those are just a couple of the things that we've been discussing. I would love to open it up to our business owners and our, you know, council members and our chamber rep for your perspective on, you know, right now, as you look at the next 6 months, what is like the number one thing that you would like to see from either the federal, state, or local government? And let's start Carmelite with you.
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I think, gosh, this one's a little bit hard because I don't personally deal with the back end in the store, because I'm not the owner. I am just the store manager. So I don't know if I'm the best person to ask or speak specifically to this, but something that Miriam kind of touched on is I just think one of the positive things, and something that in general that we could do, is really just educating people on the importance of small business. Really, small businesses are the backbone of our communities. You know, they're the ones that give most of the support to local economies, to profit rate, you know, raising for different oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. For Paula, help me. I know you know what I'm trying to say.
Nonprofits.
Exactly. Nonprofits. And so I would say just really almost the way Think Laguna First has taken on that role of educating our town, because I also live in Laguna and our shop is in Laguna, on the importance of supporting small businesses. I think that that's an active role too that small government and big government could take as well.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree that you know, our California small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and they are also, like I said, I mean, they are the heart and soul of our communities in so many ways, and so core to like why we all love living in, you know, in the cities that are represented on this call, living in Laguna Beach, living in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach. Mario, if you had one thing that you could snap your fingers and the, you know, federal, state, or local government would do for you, what would it be?
They can only do so much financially. The PPP program, if it was reinitiated to where we can spend that money and have it forgiven, would be huge, because I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to all of our outdoor patios when the weather changes. This has been the coldest summer I've ever experienced in Costa Mesa, Newport. It's overcast every morning, and believe it or not, a typical summer, we sell quite a bit of apparel. On a typical summer, it's not unusual to sell 0 sweatshirts. We've had a record high sweatshirt sales this summer because it's so cold and people are showing up to our outdoor patios, which is normally inside. Now it's outside. They're not expecting the cold weather, and they're like, I'm cold. I need to buy a sweatshirt. So if it's this cold in the summer and the overcast, what's going to happen in the fall and the winter? And so if there's one thing they could do, I mean, I think if I had a genie and I brushed a lamp a few times, I'd wish for a PPP loan that could be forgiven, because I don't know what's going to happen going forward. But that's not realistic. So what is realistic is I like to get more lead times. I'd like to have a longer lead time on understanding when I might be able to open. I like to know what I can plan for. What am I planning for 30 days out? Am I planning for 2 weeks out? Everything that's been done so far has been last minute, whether it's a closing and opening and everything in between. And it's very hard on a small business to not know how to prep. If I would have known one week out that we were going to be closing, then I'd plan differently on staffing, on buying, on spending, and wasting a lot of money. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars of inventory that got given away. I'm not going to throw it away because that would be irresponsible, but I did give it away. But it's still something that I had to pay for that I probably wouldn't have bought if I would have known 1 week in advance instead of 1 day in advance. Right. So if there's anything you can do with on the governor's side is, maybe try and give us a better expectation on what's going to happen, in September, in October.
Yeah, well, and that's feedback that I take very much to heart, and actually something that I am pushing for in the context of our recovery working group is, right, let's figure out, some kind of a, early warning indicator system, right? So it's, we know that this is not the crisis that's going to be done next week. We know this is going to be with us for, the next 6-12 months. So, what criteria are green, yellow, orange, red, so that, as you said, our businesses, our local governments, our workers, our, people all across our district can start to anticipate, when is that dimmer switch going to go up and when is it going to start to go down? So that's a commitment that I'll make to everyone on this call, is like, that is at the top of my list of things I'm advocating for. So I'll keep you posted.
Well, and Cotty, not only that is, if we had that, I mean, it would be also helpful to create an incentive to people to comply with mask mandates and, maybe change their social norms, because they'd be able to say, if we hit these numbers, then we're going to, be able to go and dine in, or we're going to be able to do this, or the bars are going to open. And then they'd be more careful, I think, on the back end, once we have, greater freedom in our business community to then comply. And so I do agree with Mario. I think Mario said it right. I think right now what businesses and people that I'm hearing in the community are doing, they're kind of like, it's kind of a wait and hope situation. And, somebody just asked me yesterday, when are we going to open more stuff? And I said, well, look at, we've got to hit these numbers for 14 days and, 8%, that meant nothing to him. And so if we could get a little bit more clarity about what the numbers are and what the future looks like, that'd be great. The one other thing I want to do before I forget is I want to plug the Small Business Administration and the SBDC. They were very instrumental at the very beginning of this. On April 3rd, they jumped on a town hall with me and Andrea Marr. And as a result of that, I'm sure we had 2,000 people that watched that. I'm sure a lot of people got PPP loans. That was the first day they were eligible. And then more recently, they've administered our business grant program, where we've sent out almost $2 million of grants to local businesses in Costa Mesa. And it's a really good resource, SBDC, Small Business Development Center.
Great. And Duke, you're muted.
Okay, now you can hear me. Now you can hear me?
Yes, yes. we
Okay.
can.
I think that you know, so one part of my deal has already been accomplished. I have Katrina Foley's, John Stevens' cell phone numbers. So if there's ever any question about when, like, when the people come in and say things like, "Oh, we don't have to wear masks anymore in Orange County," I'm not kidding you. The first time I heard that, I picked up my cell phone. I called Katrina, and she said, "No, no, Duke, no, no, we're still in effect." So I said, "I got the mayor on the phone, and she says we got to do it." And that's, so better communication with your local government officials as a small business person is golden to really know what's going on. And the second thing that I would like to see, and I don't want to get too draconian here, but I think there has to be a little more mask enforcement policies, just like they did in Laguna and I didn't know about this, with the trolley operators going around, because I'll tell you, I mean, there are some pretty irresponsible people here, not only locally, but from out of state, that they don't realize that in order to keep our businesses open, we need to comply, and not just to pacify politicians, but to help eradicate and control this terrible virus that we're all going through. That's the key. We have to all work as a team to stem this virus. And it's done through masks and sanitations and individual people's compliance of the regulations. So I'd like to see a little more.
Yeah, we're all, I mean, yes, our success or failure is not down to, the governor. It's not down to me, it's not down to, any one of us on this call. It is really up to 40 million Californians working together to, make these small changes in our lives that can have a powerful and profound impact. Paula, what are you hearing, what are you hearing from your local businesses in terms of, those one or two things that would make a big difference over the next several months?
Two things. One, specifically for the chamber, I would love to see the PPP be extended to 501c6s. We have been called upon, chambers across the United States have been called upon more than ever during this pandemic to try and help keep businesses open, and yet we don't qualify for that PPP funding. And I just think that was a misstep on somebody's part. So that's a personal thing. Secondarily, to Mario's point, the cell phone numbers of the business owners I had the day that we closed for the second time, I'm, texting all these business owners, you got to close, you got to close, you got to close. So more notification. I mean, come on. 12 hours notification just isn't enough, particularly for restaurants who have that inventory and have to order ahead. It was just very unfair. Understanding how important it is, it was just very unfair.
Yes, and I think this is volatile in many ways. We're kind of building the plane as it's flying, as people say, but we can still do, we can do, and we need to do a better job than that.
We can.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And Sue, any, parting thoughts or other points?
Well, first of all, this is really helpful, Connie. I'm glad you did this. Well, one thing is we would be good if we could get some relief on COVID related expenses, because I think all cities are the same. We're digging into our reserves. And reserves, that's what they're there for. They're for things like a pandemic or an emergency. But, it's painful to dig into reserves, particularly when you don't know where the bottom might be and we don't know how long this is going to last. So when we say we're employing trolley drivers, we've got people around town doing mask enforcement or, other COVID protocols, having people stand out in front of City Hall and basically screening them when they come in. Some of our staffing that we've had to do that we're not getting reimbursed for would be helpful. And then, we're still worried about how CalPERS is going to manage the pension fund. And all cities still have that liability. And when you're digging into your reserves, and we know we're going to have to put more money out going forward anyway, because they dropped the discount rate, it's very concerning. So any money we can get for reimbursement for COVID related expenses would be hugely helpful to us.
Yes. And I know we are all watching really closely to see what happens at the federal level. In terms of the next stimulus package, and I know that at the local level and at the state level, we're advocating very forcefully for additional relief and support for state and local governments, and also for extension of PPP and other programs to help our small business owners as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. This was a terrific conversation, and I want to thank all of you again for being here and for sharing your perspectives, and more so for everything that you are doing to ensure that our communities remain strong and vibrant, even as we confront this unprecedented crisis. So I hope you always know I'm never more than a phone call away. And for any other small business owners who are on the phone who may have questions about resources or programs, you can always call my district office, which is 949-251-0074. Thank you again for joining us, and be safe and stay strong.
Thank you, Cotty.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, everyone.